Welcome back. Well, yes, it's the elections, the rerun elections in Rivers State. That's what we're following up on today on the program. We're joined by Dakuku Peterside, the former governorship aspirant in the state. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you very much and good morning.
Morning. Well, let's, from your perspective, because I mean, several reports are out there, several perspectives are also out there. Tell us, what happened?
Well, thank you very much. You recall that days before the election, Governor Wike started making inciting and reckless statements. He was threatening INEC officials, voters, and just anybody that he will visit maximum violence on the people. Recall that at several occasions, he said, if you're coming to conduct elections in Rivers, please prepare your will, because you're likely not going to go back alive. In any case, when somebody says prepare your will, it means you will pass on. Living persons don't prepare will, and still you prepare will as you prepare to breathe your last. And so he made those insightful statements, and nobody called him to order. And it continued. As a party, we continue to raise alarm, we continue to draw the attention of the federal government and the security agencies to the continuous threats being issued by Wike and all sorts of insightful statements. And indeed, he successfully laid foundation for the violence we witnessed during the elections. Because nobody called him to order. Several persons were killed. In one single night, 24 persons were killed in Omoko. Several of them, or at least 6, beheaded. Nothing was done about that. In another day, in one single day, in Ahoda West local government area, 14 persons were killed and nothing was done.
Not even the police did anything?
Not a single arrest. In Buguma, a chap called Franklin or Renete was burnt alive, broad daylight, and his killers are known.
Was this all about elections?
Definitely.
Because I mean, what the police said was, they said, look, it was called groups, and then they're investigating. And so I thought,
if they're investigating, they couldn't have arrived at the fact that it's a cult war. If you're investigating, then it will be at the end of investigation, you say, we have come out with findings that it's a cult war. It's between cult war, cult group A and cult
I think they said preliminary investigation.
I don't think they said so. I'm following this.
Now, our point is that there is something called preliminary investigation. So it could be as a result of the preliminary investigation that they reach some of those things that they've come out with.
Now, the killing of the army major in Abonima, what cult war is that? The army major and another soldier of the Nigerian army. What cult war? What cult is the army major? You know how he was killed? He was about to do a patrol. Some guys came in a flying boat, and we had raised alarm before then that these guys are using flying boat, 200 horsepower and above powered flying boats. The police banned, as an interim measure, banned the use of 200 horsepower flying boats 2 days before the election. Now, this army major was about to do a patrol, an army major of Nigerian army. You know how much it costs to train a major? And this guy was shot, killed instantly, and another soldier with him killed. And they opened fire and engaged the army. This was in Abonima. What cult war is that? Leave that again. What cult war was going on in Buguma?
So
Franklin Obi, the APC youth leader.
We can chronicle, some of the things that have happened, the violence that has happened in River State, but some people will take very strong exception to the fact that you link all of this to, certain comments that you claim the governor of River State made, because some people will say that, both sides are guilty of, making very, inciting comments that, doesn't speak of peace that was to come in any elections. Would you say that your side has been quiet in this?
Let's assume, without conceding, that both sides made inciting comments. Is it not the responsibility of the security agencies to call all sides to order? But I can say this. I challenge anybody to bring any evidence to show that any leader of the APC in Rivers State asked the people to come out and perpetrate violence, asked people to kill, asked people to write their will. No leader of APC did that before, during, and after the elections. But I can say this clearly, on national television, consistently, yes or Wike.
No, just a moment. Just a moment. Because if you say that no leader in our party said that, but the rhetoric that comes from your party is such that it also incites the other party, what are you asking for?
I don't know what rhetoric that comes from my party, and I keep saying, can somebody just cite one instance where we made such reckless statements that indeed provided an incentive for people to do violence? And I've said consistently, and nobody has challenged me, that Wike, all of this that happened in Rivers should be placed squarely on the feet of Nyesom Wike. He provided incentive. He provided what, if I use an agricultural analogy, he provided the manure for the violence we're witnessing in Rivers State. And indeed, if nothing is done and done urgently, this cycle will continue.
So first of all, I can give an example. I recall that when the Minister of Transport was here, former governor of the state was here, some of the rhetoric that he had used, I recall that, he was reported to have said on radio during an interview that the governor who could sell his mother. I mean, that definitely was below the belt. When you say, make a comment like that, it was also reported to have said, the response to that comment was that the governor too had said that the Minister of Transport had no home training, parental training, as it were. So you had that sort of back and forth. Amongst the viewers, amongst the watchers, amongst the supporters of each party, when you hear comments like that, what sort of action do you think that you're encouraging the supporters who are looking up to the leaders to take?
Now, let's again take the examples you've cited. That leader for our party and Minister of Transportation in the state made a statement like, a governor who could sell the mother for anything. I don't see how that could lead to violence. I don't see how that can be inciting.
That definitely is not a compliment.
It's not a compliment.
It's not a compliment.
It's not a compliment.
And
First, I've said, I doubt if he said so, and I believe he didn't say so.
He didn't.
But let's assume he said so.
He didn't deny it. I put it forward to him. He didn't deny it.
Okay, let's assume he said so. And I've said, it's obvious to me and to any sane person, to discerning person, that cannot itself be a substrate for violence. Now, you also said the governor said the minister doesn't have the right home upbringing. Those are some of the banters that go on in the political space. That's not acceptable. But that is not one of the statements we're pointing to that led or provided the basis for this violence or provided an incentive for the violence we're witnessing in Rivers. A statement like, when you get anybody trying to be funny, stone him to death. Please, anybody who is coming to conduct an election in Rivers State, write your will. Please, if you catch anybody trying to do electoral malpractice, burn him alive.
We saw this.
Yes, I made that statement in a chair, and the next day somebody was burnt alive in Buguma. The relationship can just be easy to discern.
A whole lot has been happening, and so many Nigerians wanted to see peace in Rivers State, and we also had the opportunity of speaking with the Transportation Minister, Mr. Amici, and the question was, the leaders on both sides, the APC and the PDP, would have been able to stem that violence before election day. It's not too late. These are friends, or you were all once in the same clique.
They were not friends.
You all were once.
I can explain the relationship.
You all were once in the same clique, in the same boat.
In the same team.
Does it give you peace of mind to see that young people from your state and even the old and families are being killed when you knew, or when you know that if you made some move, all of that would bring about the desired peace?
I like to say these two things. The first one is to try to define the relationship between Nyesom Wike and the Right Honorable Chibuike Amechi. If you say they are friends, that will be presenting that relationship out of context. Right Honorable Chibuike Amechi was Nyesom Wike's boss and political mentor until he's an estranged son of Nyesom is an estranged son of the Right Honorable Chibuike Amechi. But that's by the way. Now, On the issue of violence, I want us to do a simple analogy and we'll be able to locate exactly where this is coming from. Before the elections of March 2015, several members of the APC were killed. Several, including Chief Adube, who was killed with his wife, 3 children, his in-law, his friend, and all of that. After the elections, we had complained severally, and because Goodluck Jonathan was in power as president, nothing was done. And after the elections, we thought all of this will abate. It took a new dimension and new form. Perhaps those who were armed earlier, they were not able to disarm them, so it continued a new dimension of kidnapping, armed robbery, and it became a way of life in the city of Port Harcourt, the once peaceful city of Port Harcourt. And we were very concerned.